Sing me the songs I delighted to hear long, long ago, long, long ago. Tell me the tales that to me were so dear long, long ago, long ago. Now you are come, all my fears are removed. Let me forget for how long you have roved. Let me believe that you love as you loved long, long ago, long ago. One morning as I was a-walking for pleasure, met a cow-puncher a-riding along. His hat was throwed back and his spurs were a-jingling, and as he approached he was singing this song. Whoopee-tie-I-O, get along, a little doggies, it's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopee-tie-I-O, get along, a little doggies, you know that Wyoming will be your new home. Some boys go up the trail for pleasure, that's where they gets it most awfully wrong. They haven't any idea of the trouble it gives us, keeping those doggies a-rolling along. Whoopee-tie-I-O, get along, a little doggies, it's your misfortune and none of my own. Whoopee-tie-I-O, get along, a little doggies, you know that Wyoming will be your new home.
All right, cowboy, you've convinced me. Davy, give him his gun back.
Nobody knew where he came from. They won't forget he came in. Slowly he walked to the end of the bar and he ordered up one slug of gin. I could see that he wasn't a large man. I could tell that he wasn't too tall. I judged him to be about 5'3", and his voice was his soft Texas drawl. Said he was needing some wages before he could ride further west. Said he could do most all kinds of work. Said he could ride with the best. There in his blue eyes was sadness that comes from the need of a friend. And though he tried, he still couldn't hide the loneliness there deep within. Said he would work through the winter for 30 a month and his board. Started to say where he might land a job when a fellow walked in through the door. I could see he was looking for trouble for the way that he came stomping in. He told me to leave Shorty there by himself, come down and wait on a man. The eyes of the little man narrowed, the smile disappeared from his face. Gone was the friendliness that I had seen, and a wild look of hate took its place. The big one continued to mock him, told me that I'd better go, find him a couple of glasses of milk, and then maybe Shorty would grow. When the little man spoke, there was stillness. He made sure that everyone heard. Slowly he stepped away from the bar, and I still remember these words. It's plain that you're a-looking for trouble. Trouble's what I try to shun. If that's what you want, then that's what you'll get. Cowboy, we're both packing guns. His hand was already positioned, his feet wide apart on the floor. I hadn't didn't notice, but there on his hip was a short-barreled bad 44. It was plain he was ready and waiting. He leaned a bit forward and said, "When you call me Shorty, say, Mister, my friend, maybe you'd rather be dead." In the room was a terrible silence as the big one stepped out on the floor. All drinking stopped and the tick of the clock said death would wait 10 seconds more. He cursed once or twice in a whisper, said with a snarl on his lips, "Nobody's mister to me, little man," and he grabbed for the gun on his hip. But the little man's hand was like lightning, the bad 44 was the same. The 44 spoke and it said, "Let him smoke," 17 inches of flame. The big one had never cleared leather, beaten before he could start. A little round hole had appeared on his shirt, the bullet went clear through his heart. The little man stood there a moment, holstered that bad 44. It's always this way, so I never stay. Slowly he walked out the door. Nobody knew where he came from. They won't forget he came by. They won't forget how a bad 44 one night made the difference in size. As for me, I'll remember the sadness that's shown in the eyes of the man. If we meet someday, you can bet that I'll say, "It's me, Mr. Shorty, your friend." Out in New Mexico, many long years ago, there in a shack on the desert one night in a storm, amid streaks of lightning and loud desert thunder, to a young Mexican couple a baby was born. Just as the baby cried, thunder and lightning died. Moon gave its light to the world, and the stars did the same. Mother and father both proud of the daughter that heaven had sent them. Faleena was this woman's name. When she was 17, bothered by crazy dreams, she ran away from the shack and left them to roam. Father and mother both asked one another, what made her run away? Why did Faleena leave home? Tired of the desert nights, poverty, grief, and strife, she ran away late one night in the moon's golden beam. She didn't know where she'd go, but she'd get there, and she would find happiness if she would follow her dream. After she ran away, she went to Santa Fe, and in the year that she stayed there, she learned about life. In just a little while, she learned that with a smile, she could have pretty clothes, she could be any man's wife. Rich men romanced her, they dined and they danced her. She understood men and she treated them all just the same. A form that was fine and rare, dark, shining, glossy hair, lovely to look at. Faleena was this woman's name. Restless in Santa Fe, she had to get away to any town where the lights had a much brighter glow. One cowboy mentioned the town of El Paso. They never stopped dancing and money like whiskey did flow. She bought a one-way ticket from Santa Fe, 3 days and nights on a stage with a rest now and then. She didn't mind that she knew she would find that her new life would be more exciting than where she had been. The stage made its last stop up there on the mountaintop to let her see all of the lights at the foot of the hill. Her world was brighter, and deep down inside her, an uncontrolled beating, her young heart just wouldn't be still. She got a hotel, a room at the Lily Bell. Quickly she changed to a form-fitting black satin dress. Every man stopped to stare at this form fine and rare. Even the women remarked of the charm she possessed. Dancing and laughter was what she was after, and Rose's cantina had lights with love in their gleam. That's what she hunted, 'cause that's what she wanted. Rose's was one place a nice girl would never be seen. It was the same way it was back in Santa Fe. Men would make fools of themselves at the thought of romance. Rosa took heed of the place was in need of this kind of excitement, so she paid Faleena to dance. A year passed, or maybe more, then through the swinging doors came a young cowboy, so tall and so handsomely dressed. This one was new in town, hadn't been seen around. He was so different, he wasn't like all of the rest. Faleena danced close to him, then threw a rose to him. Quickly he walked to her table, and there he sat down. And in a day or so, wherever folks would go, they'd see this young cowboy showing Faleena the town. 6 weeks he went with her, each minute spent with her, but he was insanely jealous of glances she'd give. Inside he was a-hurtin' from all of her flirtin'. That was her nature, and that was the way that she lived. She flirted one night, it started a gunfight, and after the smoke cleared away, on the floor lay a man. Faleena's young lover had shot down another. He couldn't leave there, so out through the back door he ran. The next day at 5 o'clock, she heard a rifle shot. Quickly she ran to the door that was facing the pass. She saw her cowboy, her wild-riding cowboy, low in the saddle. Her cowboy was riding in fast. She ran to meet him, to kiss and to greet him. He saw her and motioned her back with a wave of his hand. Bullets were flying, Faleena was crying as she saw him fall from the saddle and into the sand. Faleena knelt near him to hold and to hear him, when she felt the warm blood that flowed from the wound in his side. He raised to kiss her, and she heard him whisper, "Never forget me, Faleena, it's over, goodbye." Quickly she grabbed for the 6-gun that he wore, screaming in anger and placing the gun to her breast. Bury us both deep and maybe we'll find peace. Then pulling the trigger, she fell across the dead cowboy's chest. Out in El Paso, whenever the wind blows, if you listen closely at night, you will hear in the wind. A woman is crying, it's not the wind sighing. Old-timers tell you Faleena is calling to him. You'll hear them walking and you'll hear them talking. You'll hear them laughing, you'll look, but there's no one around. Don't be alarmed, there is really no harm there. It's only the young cowboy showing Faleena the town.
Down about a free rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around and didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw, loose and running, came the whisper from each lip, and he's here to do some business with